Yeah, if they ask, I forgot it. You ain't seen nothing. Yeah, yeah, we ain't saying nothing. Black bar over my past, can't track this. Screenshots cropped out, can't catch this. If it looks too wild on the axis, highlight, right click, boom, redact this. Redact this. Blur that face, can't fact check the madness. Torn out page from the bad habits atlas. If the story get messy in the ad-libs, highlight, right click, boom, redact this. I was young, I was dumb, I was scrolling. Type way too much, hit send, heart swollen. Now I keep receipts like a lawyer with a folder. But anything risky get hit with the toner. Whole group chat, got tails, I ain't claim. If my name pop up, that's a typo, blame. Who's that in the pic, man, that ain't go strange. That's a random stranger with a very close face. Understanding my friends, I plead don't recall. If they ask for the tape, it's a missing file. If they pull up the clip, that's deep fake style. If they show me the proof, I just smile. Like redact this. Black ball over my past, can't track this. Screenshots cropped out, can't catch this. If it looks too wild on the axis, highlight, right click, boom, redact this. Redact this. Blur that face, can't fact check the madness. Torn out page from the bad habits atlas. If the story get messy in the ad-libs, highlight, right click, boom, yeah, redact. If it hit too close, that's a rumor I heard. If the dateline match, that's a clerical error. If the outfit match, that's a popular shirt. If the tattoo match, that's a stock photo search. I'm allergic to question, coughing the light. I just edit the ending, soften the bite. Take the worst 3 parts of the night, then slice like fun was had and we were not. Every X got a chapter I seal. Every text got a gap in the reel. I ain't lying, I'm curating the reveal. Just trimming little bits of the raw, real deal. If you saw, you didn't. If you know, you didn't. If you talk, I'm clipping. If they ask, we glitching. Swipe that name out, grab that frame out. If it made me look foul, delete then fade out. Redact this. Black ball over my past, can't track this. Screenshots cropped out, can't catch this. If it looks too wild on the axis, highlight, right click, boom, redact this. Redact this. Blur that face, can't fact check the madness. Torn out page from the bad habits atlas. If the story get messy in the ad-libs, highlight, right click, boom, boom, redact this. Redact this. Redact this.
Criminal. Look, wait. Obama.
Oh, I see. I'm getting feedback on this guy. You quiet down. I'm going to the chat room right now. Hi, chat room. Welcome to the show. It's mic's on. Okay, we're good. I'm mildly paranoid about all the switches right now. When is the music vid dropping? That's a good question. As soon as I'm done unpacking, then the building of the studio filming space begins in earnest. So expect a lot of wacky shit this fall from me. So hi, there you go. What's going on? Hello, nice to see you. Yeah. I look forward to Todd Blanche realizing at some point that as the head of the DOJ, President Trump can't indemnify him against all criminality. He can pardon him for stuff he might have done as the head of the DOJ, but it affects people on a state level. And so that'll be fun watching that trap slam shut. We have a lot to cover today and so little time to do it.
Words, I had the best words.
I do, that's true.
And anonymous, really anonymous. Criminal. Look, wait. Obama.
Right. But the most important thing is that we look back so we can look forward.
I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges.
Yes, I agree. What is up with fruit? What are these fruit up to? We must stop them in their tracks. I've always looked at them, especially the navel oranges. Like, why do you have a belly button and other fruit doesn't? And why are they all outies? Maybe they aren't. Maybe we call navel oranges because they've got outies, but the innies we just ignore. How about that? You know, I wish somebody would look at that.
They now go and take a look at the oranges.
You know what I mean? Like, we need to look at this thoroughly.
They throw lots of hard objects, and rarely does anything happen.
That's good. Okay, but enough about Iran. Okay, we have a lot to cover. The main thing being Trump did this thing on the only real thing he did today was was one of these sit down gaggle signings, blah blah blah, where what I call Operation Look Busy. And hit the like, share the show. It's Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. This is him sitting here. They've fixed up his hair a little bit. I don't have a nut warning, but consider yourself warned ahead of time. And this is President Trump signs an executive order. This is just executive order TV. This is, yeah.
Well, thank you very much. And this is something very important for all of us. And it's a vaccine EO.
It's a vaccine EO. It not to be confused with a vaccine Eeyore. It's not much of a tale, but I'm sort of attached to it.
Here in the Oval Office, as our administration takes another historic step in our mission to make America healthy again. Today, we're proud to officially announce the United States of America's gold standard childhood vaccination recommendations, and that has to do with many subjects, but including autism in particular.
All right. This is just, he's all over the map on this. He's just throwing in little, like it's not getting to the point. They're bearing the lead and it annoys him. You can see this. He wants to get this over with. But I want you to notice more than anything how little he actually says in this one compared to maybe 6 months ago, 8 months ago, 10 months ago.
I want to thank the man who has done more than perhaps anyone else to bring about this real revolution, Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., my friend. And
he wrote that in there, that he's the most, and then he's going to shake his hand and he's going to go back to slobbering.
Fantastic job. I'm proud of you. Give me one a very powerful hand to use.
That was a little awkward. This is the palm up, grandma shakety do this business. Just put your testicles
job.
right.
I'm proud of you. Give me one a very powerful hand to use. Strong guy, by the way. Thanks as well.
Is he the one that helps you up out of the chair?
To Director of the NIH, Jay Bhattacharya, Deputy Assistant to the President of Domestic.
Sorry, Deputy Assistant?
Jay Bhattacharya, Deputy Assistant to the President.
Deputy Assistant? Sure. We're just leaving out. Pay attention to this because you'll see why he's speaking less.
Domestic Policy, Dr. Heidi Overton. Our Maha moms, and including Jamie Franklin, who's with us today, a very special person, and also the medical experts and professionals who've worked very hard on getting this to happen, this day to come, for long and far too long.
Yeah, for far too long. He just skips over words.
Period of time, America's recommended more childhood vaccines than any peer nation, and even twice as many doses as some European countries, and even more.
Yeah, but you're including Turkey and what, Hungary?
Than that, in many cases, we were requiring 72 jabs for.
Oh, by the way, they keep using jabs for this. This is how you can tell this entire thing is a dog and pony show just to get the Maha moms who are still pissed off about food additives back on board for the midterms.
Healthy, lovely, delicate little children, including giving the hepatitis B shot to infants and newborns on top of many other vaccinations. The hepatitis B shouldn't be given until they're 14 or 15 years old.
Also, why? Sorry, you should give it to them for sure by the time they're 14 or 15, but waiting, especially when they're young and they don't have any choice of what they're interacting or who they're interacting with or what might happen when they're toddlers. And that, why would you want to eliminate it's so stupid. Like, the assumption is they're going to encounter hep when they start, finger banging and jerking around. That's the theory. But a toddler or a child, where you're on a family trip and you have to use a public bathroom and it's just a big rush and you'd normally be more vigilant and black. You understand? Like, why? He's like, when it's their fault. Like, have them get the jab when it's their fault.
Early. Effective. Immediately, my administration is recognizing
why in the world
gold standard childhood vaccine recommendations for only 11 core vaccines.
Why do I get the Dalek audio now? What? It was fine. It was fine. I just was saying it was fine. We were fine. Why are we not fine anymore? For God darn. Did it switch? Hold on. We're going to check something. I'm going to jump back to here. Hold on. We're going to check something. Go back here to the sound thing and do it. Oh, I'll just keep this open over here. This is annoying me. It's a bug hunt, ladies and gentlemen. Yep, it went right there. So go back to here.
Vaccinations against the most serious and dangerous diseases, along with the MMR, which hopefully will be split up. You have the MMR.
Right, and each letter stands for something else. Say what they are. Measles, mumps, and rubella. Go ahead.
103 separate vaccinations given at separate times.
Well, sure.
Together,
that would be the very nature of separate.
It could be a possibility they're quite lethal, and separately, it looks like they.
Whoa! Hold on. Back the fuck up. The MMR, which is like the supposedly one, even to RFK Jr. when he was on CNN the other day during his big contentious blow up, the MMR is the most reliable one.
They're quite lethal, and separately, it looks like they are not at all lethal, but just.
They're not lethal together. What the fuck is he? Quite lethal, he said. The MMR vaccine, quite lethal.
Effective. So the MMR, we want to have separate visits, separate times. The vaccine being broken into 3 separate single doses and
Is the word separate important here?
Vaccines being administered in separate visits, for example.
So separate, you're saying separate, I get. What is that, 8 times?
At 1 year, you should have 5 separate visits for vaccines.
So separate visits, we're talking about separate. Separate is important. It can't be written that many times on the page, is it? Did you?
And getting them all in the same day. And I saw this early on, and I've seen.
He's not seen this. He's never, this dumb motherfucker, never helped his, caretake his own children when they were infants or toddlers or newborns. It's ridiculous. I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about. I saw this early on. With who? Barron? Are you making the case that Barron got these and he's possibly dead and autistic at the same time? What are you talking about?
Proof of it, where they have a vaccination thing, looks like the size of a bottle of soda.
No, it does not. What are you talking about? What? How is there a needle on the top of this thing? You did not see them pouring a bottle of soda into the arms of a baby, you absolute moron. What?
Poured into a little child's body.
Poured into a little child's body. So I'm guessing mouth, nose, ears, or ass. Where did it go? How dumb? This dumb. Congratulations, everybody who stayed home and didn't vote.
And bad things happen in many cases, too many cases.
All right. No, they didn't.
This is an explosion. This is an epidemic. So at year 1, you should have 5 separate visits for vaccines rather than giving them all in the same day.
Yeah, I know. That's what I thought too, Chatty. I was like, that's an IV you're talking about. Like they have a child on a fucking drip.
Importantly, vaccinations for hepatitis B, COVID-19, and influenza, among others, are no longer
Sorry, and what?
Vaccinations for hepatitis B, COVID-19, and influenza, among others, are no
influence
longer recommended for all children.
I'm guessing influenza is what he meant to say.
In addition, this executive order directs the Attorney General to advance legal challenges against states that violate children's rights to religious or medical vaccination exemptions for the exemptions.
Oh, it's about the exemptions? Are there separate exemptions for each separate thing?
Other countries with high vaccination.
Hal, you are too hard to find on YouTube. I don't think that's an accident. I think it's the man. I think the deep state is after me. Hit the like, share the show. It's the only way.
Without men.
Also, if likes do help in the algorithm. Just saying, throwing them and dislikes as well. So,
States for school. So what we do is, you have other countries have very high vaccination rates, and they have not had, and they don't have it's without mandates for school. Parents can still.
Yeah, that's because they're homogenous societies who give a shit. We're talking largely what he means is Sweden and Norway, and they're by and large racially homogenous countries. That's and to a large degree religiously homogenous.
To give their children all of the vaccinations if they wish. It's up to the parents. We're making recommendations that are strong, but it's up to the parents if they wish, and they will.
Oh man, the saliva.
Be covered by insurance. However, this updated recommendation finally aligns the United States with other advanced and developed nations around the world. More importantly, it aligns
like Russia
us with common sense and knowledge. Decades ago,
did he say Clarence as well?
Children received only a small fraction of the vaccines required today. In those times, people were much healthy, and of course,
they were much healthy. Were they back then when they got fewer ones? Because they died earlier.
Required today. In those times, people were much healthy, and of course,
they were much healthy. That's what I like. It was a time when people were much healthy. Sometimes more much, but it's hard to say whether they were, more or very much healthy.
High rates of autism now observed did not exist.
No, we just called it a bunch of stuff, including the R word.
There's a reason for such epidemic rates of autism.
Oh, yeah? What's the reason? Go ahead.
And we're going to bring it back to much closer to where it was.
So we're going to bring it back to just calling it mentally challenged or something else. We're just not going to... untreatable, by the way. That was the key category. That's why certain forms of autism moved into spectrum disorder and all that kind of stuff, which broadened the definition out, and a lot of reasons why they would, because you could treat a child in that situation instead of like, oh, well, I guess he's broken. We can put him in a home if you want, but otherwise you're just going to have a screaming kid in your house forever and ever and ever. Oh, that sounds terrible.
Well, we do not know exactly what the cause is with respect to autism. It is essential to our research efforts that we have the very best.
Our research efforts? So you're going to be in the lab too?
Vaccine recommendations in the entire world.
Recommendations? Fuck, man.
Research efforts that we have the very best vaccine recommendations in the...
Recommendations. See what I mean? Yeah, he is just... he's just whiffing on every complicated word.
Our world. So we're reducing them. We're changing it to visits over a period of a year and a half. So they get 20% of what they would have gotten in one big shot. A big shot like the size of a large glass of something.
A large glass of something. Well, it's, I love his analogies because they're so on point and you can picture them. You know what I mean? It's just, it's so vivid. A large glass of something. I got nothing. There's just nothing there. A large glass. Thank you for the super chat. A large glass of something.
It's a major victory for parents' rights, for religious and constitutional rights, and for the gold standard science, and we will continue to do the research and
Can you get this motherfucker a bib, for God's sake?
Update the recommendations as we learn more, and I think you're going to see some amazing results. I'm breaking it up. It's not only that you're doing fewer vaccines or jabs, as they say, but you do.
Yeah, jab. See, they're going to keep saying this. And RFK says it as well. And that's to make it look like they're stabbing your child. They're jabbing you. A jab is something that someone does against your will. Somebody jabs you with a poison needle on the subway. So they jabbed him with it, or they jabbed him with a knife or something sharp, as opposed to a shot, which if that sits in a derogatory part of your brain, they don't want it to because guns, I don't know. And then, of course, injection, which I don't know what their aversion to that is. Sounds too sciencey. It's got too many syllables for him.
Them in a series of visits to the doctor.
Okay, back up. The what?
Okay, but you're doing them in a series of visits to the doctor, much smaller amounts. To ensure Americans benefit from these recommendations, my administration is fully committed to using every tool at our disposal, including a review of potential funding and finding. Frankly,
yeah, funding and finding. We're going to review all the findings and the fundings. We find some funding, and we might fund some findings, but we'll fucking find out, I guess.
Disposal including.
Hold on. Did it again, didn't it? Hold on.
A review of potential funding and finding. Frankly, we're doing findings, and the findings will be announced almost immediately as we gain some strong surety.
Was that strong or strong?
So now I'd like to have Bobby.
Hold on, back up. Sorry.
Gain some strong surety.
It was a soft T.
So now I'd like to have Bobby say a few words, followed by Jay, Heidi, and Jamie, and then I'll sign the executive order, which I'm very excited about, because I came in and I said, I want to find what's going on with autism. It's many, many times what it used to be years ago, and it gets progressively worse, and we had progressively more and more vaccines. So in a nutshell,
yes, welcome to correlation versus causation.
You can see it through this. We're breaking up the vaccines, and we're breaking them up.
Oh, he's got props. It's President Carrot Top again.
Into time periods. Okay, not so complicated, and we think
No, it's super simple, like yourself.
we're going to have a tremendous result from doing that. Very simply, large amounts of vaccine, large amounts of like vats.
Sorry, any potential there have been presidents in the past that have said some very unreasonable things, but they were able to, in some ways, use reasonable language to push this into people's brains. And this dickhead just seems completely incapable on every level of doing that. Like there is, he won't let himself sound reasonable about any of this stuff because it's not interesting. I think it doesn't, if you're this big of a malignant fraudicist, I don't think anything sounds extraordinary enough to you or can motivate you if you kind of don't, if you're like a sociopath, you don't give a shit. Everything has to be big beyond measure and we're going to stop it. It's a monster and evil and it's right over the hill. And if we don't do something, M. Night Shyamalan's The Village, et cetera, et cetera.
Vaccine are currently pumped into your child's.
No, they're not pumping vats of vaccine into your child, you fucking weirdo.
Body. And we're doing 20% of that at each visit. And we'll let time.
The number of vaccines we're putting on our children is down 600, 800%.
Elapse between
Children will be vaccinating their doctors at this point.
Visits, so the body can handle this massive amount of fluid being.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's simply just the fluid ounces. That's what's doing it. That's probably what's going. Autism is sort of a ballooning syndrome caused by the overhydration of having vats of liquid poured into children.
I think it's going to make a big difference. You know, there are some groups that have virtually no problem with autism.
Right. You mean those same groups that if their kids are too weird, they kick them to the curb and tell them never come back?
And I have to say this, they're groups that aren't big into the world of vaccines. So there's some.
Yeah, but also they're not big on registering pregnancy. They don't come to hospitals. They only show up later if the kid is alive and well.
Well, we see record numbers all the time, every year for years and years. Every year gets higher autism. And we think we have a very good recommendation, and a lot of good things are happening. We're going to be releasing some very detailed paper. Here's another one.
Very detailed.
European countries versus the United States. Look at that.
Yeah, totally. I get it, buddy. It looks like something odd in a sex ed manual.
These are high level, very medically powerful.
Advanced is the word you're looking for, I think.
European countries. You see the top. That little chart says a lot.
It does. It totally says a lot. Thank you. I can read it from here. No need to put it on anything. Yeah, we get it. They'll take a picture of it, post it later.
It's a difference. So with that, I'd like to have Bobby say a few words, please, and then we'll go to the others. Please, Bobby.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to start by just reinforcing something that the President said, which is the source of his concern about this issue. And I'll just...
All right. Anyways, he blathers on a bunch, and then they go on and they talk to different folks, and he introduces her, and she talks, and then they finish talking to the mom, and then Stephen Miller says something, and then he there we go, and then they all talk about like, wow, wonderful it is you're signing this.
Sir, we're just going ahead and doing the right thing.
Hold on one second.
On all of the best available research to ensure that America's parents and children are being as best protected by the federal government as they can be.
Very good. Thank you very much.
That's a lot of M's in your last name.
Okay. That's a big one in my book.
Hang on to that. It's basically a memo.
Any questions, please?
Yeah. First of all, I'd like to say for the record, I am not concerned about them looking into this stuff at all, because I'm pretty sure what they're going to find. And the only concern I have is that they might be just wasting taxpayer dollars chasing down a boogeyman that the right, and especially the fringe right, has had for a very long time. But if they uncover one element of like, oh, actually, this thing that was in vaccines for a short time and they took it out was contributing to these kind of things in the same way that leaded gasoline and other shit was doing it, and giving kids similar traits, when it would impact them in utero or what have you, I have no problem with them finding those things out. And obviously, I don't know where this puts us with Tylenol. I guess this just erases that whole bullshit, right? We're just back to square one. That Tylenol was not okay. We'll see.
Mr. President, in addition to this big announcement, you've also been posting about Iran today opposing their latest demands. You said this last round of talks was Iran's last chance before decapitation. So what now? What comes next?
You'll find out.
Are you still, are massive escalation, is that still on the table?
You'll find out. I'm going to do something. I don't really know.
Well, we have that ability if we want to do
Certainly.
that. Yeah, you'll find out.
You said you're low-key
Will I, though?
with them, that you're semi-negotiating. What exactly does that mean?
Well, they asked for reparations, you might say, or they asked for money for the damage that we've done. I said,
yes, that would be the reparations.
That's a good idea. Well, we're going to ask for money for the damage they've done over a 50-year period. Whether you go SS Cole or whether you go all of the people that were so badly hurt, so badly wounded or killed, many thousands of people. and maybe damages for the 52,000 protesters over the last 4 months that were killed in Iran. We think their family should get damages for killing their person or their child or mother, father that were protesting. It's at least, it was 52,000 a month and a half ago. So now what is it? So if there's damages to be paid, I think Iran should pay those damages.
Mr. President, are you frustrated with Senate Republicans and Leader Thune for going home for recess without passing the Save America Act?
Well, I think they should pass voter ID. I think they should pass proof of citizenship. Basically, Save America, Save America Act. I think that should be something that we should absolutely get. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to. So either we're going to have fair elections or we're not. And I'm sure we'll all find that there was funding in this for fucking goons, I guess, at the polling places, and that's why you want it so bad.
Mr. President, you're a proud father. Would you have
of one girl
vaccinated your children differently based on the recommendations?
Well, I did. I took my children for 5 different vaccinations. In other words, I broke it up.
Bullshit.
The one visit where they just pump, what seemingly looks like gallons.
Okay, what the fuck are you talking about? No, that's not a thing. Dipshit. There was no... What do you think is... Honest, I want to see what the hell he is talking about. What are you talking about? What is this vat? Where did you go? Were there leeches in the vat? Are you thinking of like the battery compartment in the fucking Matrix where Keanu Reeves was sleeping naked in goo? What are you talking about? And he did not take his children anywhere. He did not go with Melania or Ivanka or Ivana or Marla with the kids to their doctor visits. He just did not. For real. Didn't happen. Silliness. And again, HIPAA laws protect him from, ever being caught in this lie. So he can just say it.
Pumped so much in. I took all of my children from day one. I believed in this
gibberish.
A long time ago. I took them with my wife. I took them through 5.
Your wife? Which one? Also, explain Eric to me then, if this works.
Different visits to the doctor. Essentially, they get 20% each.
Essentially. So sorry. So you're getting the measles vaccine, the one vaccine in slow doses. Is that what it is? Only the 100% dose that they give you for MMR. You're getting 20% of that each time, or you're getting 20% of the vaccinations. I broke my kids up into 2. Mainly because of just how it would make him feel. And this, I just don't know where he got this from. This is just a fantasy. It just didn't happen.
Problem. So, Mr. President, it's inconvenient. It's 5 stops, but it's something that I think will have a huge impact on autism.
Huge.
Yeah.
Mr. President,
Yeah, ma'am, go.
The anti-weaponization fund, do you think it's still alive at this point? And are there any options that you're looking at to perhaps...
Well, that'll be up to Todd Blanche. He was our new, and who will be, I think, a great attorney general. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr.
For you.
President, why does the establishment media so often seem to...
Oh, God. Softball, is he almost done? Is that what that is? Okay.
...be against even asking questions about vaccines?
Why is the establishment media against even asking questions about vaccines? I don't think anybody's ever been against, especially in the news media, against asking questions. It's the backhanded assertions that are the problem.
When you come up with a recommendation for a vaccine, it could be the medical groups, the pharmaceutical groups, I don't know, but
the pharmaceutical groups, big pharma, they're all getting together, even though they compete. Yeah, they're like, hey, let's all hide the fact that, you create all the vaccines that go to everybody, but the rest of us will help you hide the fact that it's causing autism.
It is amazing.
What do you give us? I don't know. We'll help you bury the story of thalidomide a long time ago.
There's nothing that we lose with this. If the worst thing that would happen would be nothing happens.
No, the worst thing that would happen is a bunch of people think they can blow them off and they ride herd immunity, and then they don't realize that everybody politically in their area is thinking the same thing, and then measles or some other disease where they're like, do we even need that one? And they don't have to actually do it for schools, or they fight back against it. And then some easily eliminated disease rolls through a community and kills a bunch of kids. That's the worst thing that could happen, I think.
We're not going to lose anything. At the same time, we could gain tremendous. We could save hundreds of thousands of lives, millions of lives. And I wish we
Based on what?
could have done it a long time ago. We got stopped by court. We had a court, I guess, in Massachusetts that stopped us very early on. I believed in this for a long time. So now we're getting it done. And I think you're going to see potentially tremendous results.
By the way, the girl over his shoulder is... she's king. She's the queen of fidgets, right next to RFK Jr. being the king of fidgets. Like the whole time she's doing this kind of behind him. So I don't know if they're gacked up. They all did rails of Adderall before this thing just to be all on the same page, or she and RFK Jr. went for a coffee.
Dan?
President, a topic on manufacturing. If I may, the Bureau of Labor Statistics put out some information last week saying that U.S. manufacturing
Record
output,
manufacturing.
4.6% increased in the first quarter of 2026. The Supply Management Institute, PMI, shows that manufacturing has expanded for 7 consecutive months. You've talked about the American manufacturing renaissance.
Yeah, that's because they've included the construction jobs for AI, which is not a factory and is not building anything, as part of the manufacturing thing. That's why they call AI data centers factories, so that they can add that artificially to the number.
10 years at this point.
It's so stupid.
Given all the statistics and the investment that have come in, do you feel vindicated at this point?
So we're doing record increases in the United States in manufacturing.
According to this guy who just told me this thing, which may or may not be true, I don't know.
A lot of that has to do with the tariffs, because companies are coming in, they're not able to sell their product unless they come in, because they have no tariff if they build their product, whether it's a car or something.
They also don't have to pay taxes here.
If they make it in the United States, there is no tariff. So they're coming in. We have a record number of factories under construction, factories, plants, things as such. Toyota just announced that they're building the largest.
Oh, yeah. This is the same story he's been telling forever. The idea is that they're moving. One of the plants they were going to build was going to be one of the biggest ones in the world in Mexico. They're not building that one anymore because of the tariffs. At least they struck it last year. And the theory is he's projecting that they're moving it here, which I see no sign that they are.
Largest car plant. They make cars, plant.
Sorry, they make cars plant? Sorry, real quick. One more time. Plant, they make cars plant?
A car plant. They make cars, plant in the world.
It's a they make cars plant. Well, that's what everybody wants. People don't want data centers, but they would love to have one of those they make cars plants. It's a big tree, though. And you have to water it with motor oil. It's weird.
In the world, they're leaving Mexico and they're coming to the United States. Many car plants, AI, other. They're opening. I will say that they're leaving.
See what I mean? Yeah. AI plants qualify as manufacturing because what? They're manufacturing people's term papers? What are you talking about?
They're leaving Mexico, they're leaving Germany, they're leaving Japan, they're leaving South Korea, they're coming into the United States because they don't want to pay a 25% tariff.
Yeah, you can't make them do a 25% tariff. You've already failed at that. That's why you're doing these kind of across-the-board tariffs that will go away once they sue you about the forced labor stuff.
On a car, and they don't have to pay a tariff if they make it here. So we have the largest
No, but they would have to pay taxes, which would be equal to or greater than that.
number of plants ever being built in the United States right now. Hard to believe, right?
Yes, no one believes it. You're a silly person.
Because if you listen to some of our past projects, we'd never be a manufacturing country again.
Our past presidents is what he means. That is a reference to Obama, right? He was saying, Obama said we'd never be a manufacturing country ever again. That's what he's saying. And instead of saying the word presidents, he says projects.
On a car, and they don't have to pay a tariff if they make it here. So we have the largest number of plants ever being built in the United States right now. Hard to believe, right?
Yes.
If you listen to some of our past projects, we'd never be a manufacturing country again. And these plants are going to be
projects. He means presidents. If you listen to one of our past presidents.
Opening up in about 6 months.
Yeah, about, give or take 2 weeks / never.
And I can only say that the next president will get a lot of credit for what I've done. Please remember it was me, not them.
Mr. President,
He might mean J.D. Vance.
I heard you say that the MMR vaccine for measles, mumps, and rubella is quite lethal. Is there any evidence of that?
No. What I've heard is that there are some people that say it is that way.
There are some people that say it is that way. You're one of them, you dumb son of a bitch. What the fuck? So, I don't know. No. Some people say that or whatever. Well, you just said it. You said it's quite lethal. That's why he's asking you.
And I say, well,
oh my God.
Let's say there's a 5% chance of it. Let's split it up. Because they do say that given individual, MMR, that given individual, there is no impact. In fact, they've said how safe it seems to be.
So it's quite lethal if they're together, say some people, but it seems to be safe separately, they say. Jesus.
I heard when you put them together, they can be explosive. Yeah.
They can be explosive. Oh my God. Yeah, it's like fucking MacGyver again. He's just adding nitroglycerin. Just walks into the kitchen. He grabs some rubbing alcohol and some sugar, and boom. It's the same thing with MMR. Dr. MacGyver. Never let him give you a shot.
Have you spoken with the new Attorney General or Janine Pirro about prosecuting Dr. Fauci?
I have not spoken to him about that, no.
Mr. President, Senator.
Yeah, because the discovery process for all of it would entail his communications with Dr. Fauci during the fucking 2020. What do you think? That's not going to happen. It's not happening. And now ask him about why he's not going after Hillary Clinton or even Comey to some degree. Like why they went, don't fight that hard. As soon as he pushes back, ditch out and blame the courts. Because if we actually go through with this, the amount of discovery this man will get to ask for will fuck us into a cocked hat.
Rand Paul and Ron Johnson released some text messages from Anthony Fauci, and it appears that as early as January 2021, they knew that there could possibly be complications with pregnant women and miscarriages tied to the COVID vaccine. Yet the Biden administration...
Which vaccine would that be?
Health officials, they didn't change their rhetoric or reaction.
Well, the Biden administration was a disaster in every way. That would be just one way, but they have been a disaster.
They did manage to pass an infrastructure act and a rescue package that you weren't able to get through. Yeah. Getting lead pipes out of all the water systems in the country. Rural broadband, which is really helping your... it's not helping Truth Sinkhole. Apparently the Truth Sinkhole's posting, I don't know, its traffic has taken a giant shit.
It's unimaginable what they did in that. Forget about weaponization. Forget even about, as important as what you're saying.
What is she saying? What did she just say? You've forgotten entirely, haven't you?
So many of the open borders, the men and women's sports, they've just been a horrendous disaster, the highest inflation in...
Does she have to pee? The girl over his shoulder. Does she have to pee? Is that what this is about? I feel bad for her now.
History. And we're doing a great job.
Mr. President,
In the back?
Mr. President,
Thank you. Unbundling the shots into more visits means more co-pays for families. What's your recommendation for families that can't afford to keep paying for those visits?
Well, we're going to be working with them. We're going to work with the family.
Yeah, we're going to be working with them. I mean, we're recommending this today, but of course, we can't make the insurance companies respond to it legally, and it's not based on science yet. We're just kind of pulling it out of our ass. So telling doctors and insurance to, raise people's costs and not compensating them in any way, it would obviously be impossible. So we're just going to, honestly, just fuck them. That's really what it is. Like, they're sucks to be you. Maybe you shouldn't be poor.
We're going to make sure everything works out cost-wise very well. Yeah, please.
Oh, yeah? How? I'm going to ask you the same question I asked the DSA folks. How? Don't tell me what's important. Don't tell me what the problem is. We, by and large, a lot of us agree on the problem. How? Otherwise, you're just Trump. How?
President,
It's two big questions of the Trump era. And how are you going to do this shit? And who are you talking to?
what recommendations do you have for Republicans, heading into midterms right now? And are Democrats, with the candidates they're putting forward, making life easier for?
Well, the one thing is we have jihadists being elected all over the place. We have this, whether it's communism, jihadism. It's a lot of friend of mine called up. He said, really, you should use the word jihadist.
Did he? He just said that? Who is this friend? Also, I don't believe you have friends. So it was Steve Bannon.
Because that's what's happening. And I'm not sure that anybody, if you take a look at what happens in other countries, I think that's not going to be necessarily the way we want to live.
Wow. Way to really put the hammer down on it. That's some tough talk.
But when you look at the radicalism and the craziness of the candidates and the stupidity of what they're suggesting, let's get rid of the
Right, but enough about the people you've endorsed.
Supreme Court, let's get rid of the presidency, let's get rid of the Senate. They want to get, sometimes I'd like to get rid of the Senate too, but I don't say it, and I wouldn't do it. But, they want to get rid of the Senate. They want to get rid of, ideally, the House, but they're thinking about maybe keeping the House. Isn't that nice? These are people that have been not successful. They're people that have been, in many cases, failures.
I think unsuccessful is the word he's kind of looking for. Maybe.
They come from other failed countries.
I see. So they're unsuccessful and they're from unsuccessful countries. It's probably in their blood. It's probably genetic.
Come here and they tell us how to run our country. They come from.
That's him. He's on the Somali go round right now. That's rhetoric he uses for Ilhan Omar a lot.
Places like, I won't mention because I don't want to get myself into a controversy, but they come from countries that are not great. They come from, let's say, as an example, Somalia.
Jesus, what'd I tell you? Fuck. I don't want to say it because I'll get in a little trouble, which is really just me queuing up that I'm about to say something. So listen, because I'm really going to say this shit.
They come in and then they tell us how our Constitution,
our Constitution? Our Constitution.
Declaration.
Sorry.
They come in and then they tell us how our Constitution, how our Declaration of Independence, how it works. It doesn't work that way. And
so the way they said it works, it doesn't work that way?
They're not smart. They have no aptitude. They have nothing going, and they're telling us how to run our country.
Oh, by the way, aptitude is one of his soft genetics words, just so you know. That's like low IQ person. Aptitude is a natural inborn talent for stuff, which also is like the soft Darwinism shit that he throws around.
And I just don't think it's going to happen. I think that they start off, now I may be wrong, but they start off with a big disadvantage. People don't want to have radical lunatics involved in running our country. And then,
well, I'm one of them. And so if you could take a powder, that would be great.
That's what we have. We have people that are saying things that are so great. Now they're denying it. Or they say, well, I've changed my mind. They want to defund our police. They want to terminate our military. No military. We don't want any military in our country. We don't want our police to be paid anymore. They want our police down to like almost nothing.
That's the defund the police, I guess. Zero funding is what he means.
It's like
to almost nothing. Well, I guess maybe it's just an all-volunteer police force. And that worked out really well in Seattle in the CHOP, right? when the people in the Chop Chaz Occupy downtown Seattle crowd killed those 2 black kids and covered it up with their private security group, commission, whatever it was.
Doesn't make sense, right?
Right. But again, if you're talking about whatever, 2 Michigan candidates, 3 people in New York, it's just bluer situations, or Denver, fuck out of here.
Back to the subject of Iran, sir. Can you give us any estimate of when you think the Strait of Hormuz will be?
Well, it's open now. We'll take
No, it's not.
a lot of shit. It's open now. Look.
It's not open at all. I showed it this morning on the morning show. It's not open.
The only one that has control of the Strait of Hormuz right now is the United States Navy. We have a blockade that's been
gibberish,
infallible. It's
infallible. Yes, they've aced their cognitive exams 4 times.
Steel wall, and we let people in that we want to let in, and those people come in, and they've been coming in and they're going out.
Well, that sounds fun. Are they at least being gentle?
So it's actually open now. We do not let them go into Iran. They're not admitted into the strait to go to Iran, but it's open for others. Now, a little bit complex because they will, on occasion, drop a mine, and we find the mines. You know, we've mine swept the entire strait, as you.
We've mine swept the entire strait. Occasionally, they'll drop a mine. So now they're dropping mines. Before, they didn't even have the ability to, and we didn't even believe they were there. Now we've swept the mines, and now they're occasionally dropping more.
Maybe you heard, maybe you didn't hear, but.
Nope, didn't hear. Because, again, most of us are unsure about just exactly how much of this is just you misinterpreting what you've read or just making it up out of, like, just lying.
But we control the strait 100%. Now, can they make trouble? Yeah, they can make trouble. But they're broke. They have no money. You know, Iran is broke, totally broke. And
so they won't be able to cover all their statues in gold leafing. That you put an end to that. They're not going to be erecting any statue gardens, or they're not going to be building any fucking ballrooms. I'll tell you. Take that, Iran.
Not paying this.
The whatever the schoolgirl memorial ballroom is funding has been denied.
They have inflation of 300% as of last night. I heard 309%.
309%. So it's gone down from 350% a month ago.
So we'll see what happens. But they've been bad for. They say 47. It's actually 50 now. 47. They've been saying it for 3 years. But for 50 years, they've been the bully of the Middle East. What they've done is terrible. They've killed hundreds of thousands of people. They've killed people. They've wounded and maimed people with the legs, the arms. With the
face.
The roadside bomb is their bomb. They're very proud of it. And now they're paying a price. Thank you very much, everybody.
Please get out, because he can't leave, and if he's got to go to the bathroom, he's either going to shit his pants right there, or they're going to have to wheel him into the John, which is right out the other door.
Are you calling Chairman Warsh occasionally when you talk about the
No, actually, the Wall Street Journal had a wrong story. He said I spoke to him. No, I have tremendous respect for Kevin Warsh. I've only spoken to him one time briefly a few days ago, just a conversation. Look, he's going to do it. He's going to run it. I know what he'd like to do, but he has to run it. He's got a board. It's not only him. It was up to
Jesus Christ. Now it's, yes, we get it. Everything you said about Powell, you're rolling back because it's your second guy in a row who's doing exactly what the Fed is supposed to do. And again, this guy, Warsh, is now, much like Trump's Supreme Court justices, is now worried about his own legacy. Once you're in there, man, and you've got this term, he's not going to, he can't get you out now. It's all you, baby. So you can just wait for him to be over. And your legacy will be what happens, because he drives you into doing something that destroys the economy. They're not going to blame him. They're going to blame you for listening. So Warsh is now acting pretty much like Powell. And I guarantee the phone calls are almost identical.
It would be different, but he's got a board. But I've only, they said I speak to him all the time. And I've spoken to him one time since his assumption, since he took over. And
his assumption, since he assumed the role,
great conversation, but he's a great guy. He's my pick. And
Powell was too.
I'm going with him 100%. But they made it sound like I live and breathe. I speak to Kevin all the time, every time. I spoke to him one time. Okay, thank you very much,
Thank you,
everybody.
press. Thank you, press. Thank you. Thank you.
Any response to Netanyahu rejecting the Hamas deal?
Thank you.
Well, I put it out today on Truth. I do. I have a response. I put it out today on Truth.
Thank you.
Good response.
It was a good response, whatever.
The
He did the desk tap is like get out.
relationship is very good. Yeah.
Normally that would be where he taps the thing and he gets up from the desk and walks out, but he can't.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, press. Quickly.
Yeah. Thank you, press. Quickly, we all need to get someplace where we can fumigate our nostrils. Thank you very much. He's about to take a gigantic shit. So hit the like, share the show. It's House Sparks Mega Worldwide. We're getting it together. So shall we listen to the jihadi? Shall we? So the White House put out 2 videos today. I don't know what the fuck this is. Freedom. This is Freedom Plaza. This is on the White House page on YouTube. This video, the Capitol. It's titled "The Capitol Restored." It's a minute long. My favorite part of this, I think, is no description has been added to this video because even they can't figure out what the fuck this is. All right, so here you go. It's the Capitol Restored. What is this supposed to be? I didn't realize we were surrounded by glaciers. What? And we've got our own Buckingham Palace. Who the fuck is on the horse? What? Meridian Park? What is this jackassery? Like a giant steampunk stairs? Sorry, it's a steampunk sewer. My bad. That's what DuPont Circle looks like now. Which chunk of Minecraft ground do I get off on to go to Kramer Books? World War II Memorial. What is happening to this stupid fountain? All right, who is that? It's Ulysses S. Grant. It has to be. It's the statue from Charlotte. That's what it's got to be. What the fuck is this, dude? Why are we turning the White House into a clock tower? Save the clock tower! Oh, for fuck's sake. He's on a Game of Thrones throne? Sorry, so you're building that for who? AOC or Gavin Newsom or both? Jesus Christ. Again, I guess I've said for a long time that they feel no shame, but they can be embarrassed. And I think they're just trying to build up their embarrassment tolerance by just embarrassing themselves over and over again. So their nervous system just gives up. It's like, I can't be embarrassed anymore. This is just stupid. So that's the Capitol restored. And then they also did a vision for 2 Americas, because Al-Sayed, they're afraid of him. Communist far left Democrat. This one they actually wrote. Communist far left Democrats like Abdul Rahman Mohammed El-Sayed are a direct threat to America and the very values that define our nation. All right, well, what would those be? Let's give it a shit. Let's give it a shot. Hit the like, and this is a little longer, so they're using clips, I guess. So,
That we do need to defund.
hold on. So they're going to use This is from CNN. I thought we weren't supposed to trust CNN, but okay.
The police. I actually believe in court reform, right? In Supreme Court reform. Every president should get 3 appointments. You can either use your appointment to give somebody who's on the court a second 10-year term and limit everybody's terms to 10 years, or you can include somebody else. Would that expand the court? Sure. But there's nothing in the Constitution that says there have to be 9 justices. And like the things that I actually look at on Instagram, right? Of course, we get served.
It's terrifying. He wants to expand the court and give every president three Supreme Court justices until we have 27, I guess, and then we max out. Is there a max out number? We don't know. Hold on.
But then like every third video that scrolls on its own is going to be some OnlyFans model. I think the foundation.
Hold on. Sorry. Missed that.
On Instagram, right? Of course, we get served that on your For You page. But then like every third video that scrolls on its own is going to be some OnlyFans model. I think the foundational issue here is we need to start taxing billionaire wealth, right? And when you tax billionaire
I like the background music. It's terrifying.
Wealth, you disincentivize the accumulation of wealth. If you cannot stand for trans rights, do not be surprised when they come for your rights. I look forward to pushing forward.
That's a very weird sentence. I mean, these are all, completely devoid of context, and that's the point.
Legislation that would...
And again, what he means by your rights, don't be surprised when they come for your rights because, like guns or whatever. If you create a slippery slope where you can go after trans people, there's a lot of ways that could attach to your religion, your identity, those kind of things.
Localities from participating.
I'm assuming, but a reasonable reading.
ICE, we've also got to make sure that in this state, we are not discriminating by documentation status. Right now, if you're undocumented, you don't get access to a driver's license, so you're stuck. You don't get access to a lot of the basic things the state offers everybody else. And I think that's ridiculous. And so we've got to stop discriminating that way. There is no reforming. There is no retraining. There is only abolishing ICE. Fuck ICE. That you can't reform ICE. You can't retrain ICE.
Yeah, by the way, since then he's talked about basically going back to the INS model that existed before the Patriot Act.
To abolish.
Whoops, hold on.
ICE.
I don't know why this jumps over there. It's so weird.
It started, it was a bad experiment. It's been weaponized to do the worst things. And I think we need to abolish it and start from scratch. I think he should be impeached. I do not think he should be president of the United States. I think he's done impeachable things. Obviously, as a future senator, I'm not in a position to impeach. But when they make the case about the impeachable things I have seen with my own eyes, I will vote accordingly. So do you think that he is?
Oh God, that I guess that's the big one they're hitting home. That he'll vote, unlike Mitch McConnell.
Israeli government should be considered by the U.S. as a foreign terrorist organization.
It's certainly a rogue state.
You're not going to play the gotcha game, but you're not going to say you think Israel has a right.
Well, the truth of the matter is that these wildfires are happening more often because it's drier and hotter than it has been in the past. It's drier and hotter because we continue to rely on fossil fuels for our energy. We need to get to 100% renewable energy. Number one.
Oh my God. I can understand why they're ramping up to this.
Put as much sand in the gears into what Donald Trump and his acolytes are doing. And number two, build the conversation with the American public that gets us to the after Trump foundation. What do you tell those people about
the rising? I just don't find that I don't even know if this is like Shining kind of music or like this horror music as it's ramping up. The severity of the clips isn't rising with it. I mean, just from an editing standpoint.
Whether or not this is a pie in the sky dream that you're going around Michigan talking about.
Well, clearly I'm a different kind of Democrat.
Clearly, that's what you're ending on. Clearly, I'm a different kind of Democrat. Which is what? Trump's way of apologizing to Democrats that he's vilified for this whole time? Sorry, he thinks they're all communists anyways. What do you mean? All right, this is so stupid. But again, that's what do you expect from them at this point? Now, let's jump into, you did the Capitol thing. And this is the third video that they put out at the White House a couple days ago. This one, I have my own theory about. So it was National Purple Heart Day. And if you'll recall, future maggots of America were big on vilifying John Kerry and mocking his Purple Heart. So much so that they wore purple Band-Aids, even though he had been wounded in a firefight. they wore purple Band-Aids at the RNC. And what was it? When Bush was running a second time. Just totally mocking the concept. Now, obviously, Donald Trump is not Oprahing a bunch of Purple Hearts. These were Purple Hearts like his Nobel Peace Prize that were sent to him by his fans because they thought you'll see.
Today, on National Purple Heart Day, we express our tremendous gratitude.
Wait a second.
Today, on National Purple Heart Day, we express our...
There seems to be, I don't know if it's a glass, like there's a sheet of glass in front of him or something. There seems to be a reflection going on in the chair and in the thing behind him, but there's curtains there. AI much?
Tremendous gratitude to every American warrior and veteran who has received the Purple Heart, a great honor. The Purple Heart goes back 244 years to when General George Washington gave 3 gallant patriots of the War for Independence a purple cloth for their bravery. It was a very big deal at the time.
Oh, yeah, huge.
And it's even bigger now.
That's right. Now that you're, obviously George Washington, a piker compared to what a great man you are.
Today, this decoration commemorates the courage, sacrifice, and grit of men and women from every service who have given their flesh and blood and even their lives in defense of our nation and our beautiful American flag. Nearly 2 million Americans have received the Purple Heart.
Okay, so they did this cutaway to cover for the fact that some of this was going to look like AI slop.
Their sacrifice in the line of duty. And on this special occasion, our nation proudly says thank you to these immortal American heroes. 2 years ago, after an assassin tried to take my life in Butler, Pennsylvania,
citation needed.
I was deeply moved at how Purple Heart recipients from across the country kindly sent me their own Purple Heart ribbons.
Now, I please ask you to stop. I've got more of them. I'm just gonna. Can I cash all these in like Monopoly houses for a hotel, and I can just give myself the Medal of Honor? That's the one I want.
It was so unbelievable. That included ribbons from war heroes, including Navy veteran Daniel Peterson, Army veteran John Ford, who was wounded 3 times, and Marine Corps veteran Thomas Mateo, who was wounded 6 times. These cherished ribbons were earned by our brave warriors through valor
and they can be yours for just $29.95. But wait, there's more.
Battlefields all over the world. Today, they are displayed outside the Oval Office and
you can have this entire collection for $17.76.
West Wing of the White House in honor of the courage that keeps America safe and free. Our country could not exist without those patriots willing to shed their blood for all of us.
Can you imagine if all of these folks had, say, pretended they had bone spurs?
Today,
5 times.
We say, God bless them, God bless our military, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you. Can't do one without wilting at the end. So those are the 3. That one's more than likely slapped together from AI. Now, on to the real concern, ladies and gentlemen of the chat room. Hit the like, share the show. What's the big concern? Well, the jobs report kind of sucked, and it revised a lot of those jobs downward. You can say that there was a 5% rise in manufacturing job, but since that's easy to concoct, since there's so few of them to start with, that kind of percentage is easy to attain, even with 85 people or 110 or whatever it is. This is not translating into comfort for the Republicans going into the midterms at all. And here we have Fox News midterm alarm. Stark warning raises stakes of November midterms. Communism! Stop the communism!
The Senate leaving Washington for the August recess as scheduled following a weekend marathon of overnight voting, which saw the passage of a stopgap funding bill to avert a government shutdown. And the
right, because they got enough shit they have to run against in their own party without this.
Confirmation of Todd Blanche as Attorney General. However, there was no vote on the Senate's $150 billion budget framework or the Save America Act.
Well, they kicked the can on that one So they wouldn't vote for a CR and that.
Utah Senator Mike Lee, one of the bill's strongest supporters, acknowledged.
Oh, Mike Lee, yeah, is the guy who told a private group of really rich donors that he wants to get rid of Social Security. That Mike Lee?
The Senate does not have the votes to pass it yet, leaving the election integrity.
What? Sorry, you think that's going to improve after the election?
Fate up in the air as we close in on the midterms. Joining me now is Florida Congressman Randy Fine. He's also a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, what do you think is preventing at this point the upper chamber from voting for Save America?
Well, thanks for having me. Look,
they obviously just don't want to save America. That's, I mean, I don't have to tell you that. That's pretty much all you got, there.
It's the willingness to work. It took 60 days for the Senate to pass the Voting Rights Act in the 60s to make sure every American had the right to vote. It's worth them sitting there for 60 days and letting Democrats talk about how they don't want people to show photo ID in order to make sure only Americans can vote. So I think what's holding them up is willingness to do the work that the American people voted for them to do. I'm certainly willing to do it, and if they're not, they should find someone else who is.
Well, but we knew that the calendar was good. For Leader Thune going in, because with just that short amount of window, and at the end of the day, he made his choices, but the Senate held one vote early Saturday morning on a voter ID bill, but Democrats then voted against it, and that blocked it from that 60-vote threshold. Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn joined Maria on Sunday on the need to break up the Save America Act to just get it passed. Watch what she said.
Maria, as you and I have talked, we think we're going to have to break the Save America Act into pieces, take them one at a time. The interesting thing was every single Democrat voted against showing an ID, even though 83% of the American people and 71% of all Democrats think you ought to have to show that ID, but we're to still doing this. You show an ID, you prove that you're a citizen, And my bill, which incentivizes states to check their voter roll against that DHS SAVE system, which is the listing of people that are in the country but are not citizens. And as we saw in New Jersey, who they had no problem with non-citizens voting. They had 6,600 people that they admitted were registered to vote who are not citizens.
You know, recent Fox News finds 83%.
Understand why they're doing it. I do think the better thing would be to encourage citizenship amongst those folks, because stick around, right? If you've lived here that long, why not just stay? But if they can't renounce their citizenship for some reason, maybe it's hinky, whatever, it'd be a better idea if you moved them towards citizenship if they want to vote.
Voters support showing
long term
a valid ID when registering to vote. 77% support showing valid ID. So, Congressman, if the Senate
also valid ID, valid photo ID. Under the citizenship rule, the real ID doesn't even cover that, because real ID does not prove that you are a citizen. You can get a real ID driver's license if you're a non-resident alien or green card holder.
not get a popular voter ID bill to the 60 vote threshold. I mean, is there any part of this bill do you think could be passed?
Well, absolutely. I'll give you two options. Number one, we put Save America in the reconciliation bill.
Yeah, but it costs money, dickhead.
That we sent to the Senate.
Right, and they can't vote for it because it violates the rules of the Senate, because it will raise the budget. And that's a budgetary thing. And so therefore, because it's the purse strings, we have a representative government, taxation without representation. Remember the Tea Party, you asshole?
Only take 50 votes. So there's one way to get it. Way. We attached the Save America Act to something even more popular. The idea that members of Congress can't.
You attached it to an idea? That should have gotten it through.
Insider trade.
But did you think about attaching it to the idea that maybe we should have pizza? I think that would sail right through, while you're attaching it to ideas.
And when we did that, we not only got every Republican vote, we got a dozen Democratic votes in the House. It was the first time we've ever seen a Democrat vote for Save America. So maybe that's what they try in the Senate. You can't insider trade plus Save America. There's two paths to get the job done. The point is they just need to pick one and do whatever it takes to get it done.
Okay.
Well, whatever it takes would entail, again, the federal ID or state IDs being paid for by the federal government, which requires funding, which you would have to put in the reconciliation, which you don't want to do, because the whole purpose of this is to mute the Democratic vote. So you don't want people to have a proper ID. You want money to be a barrier to them voting. It's counterproductive. The whole point of this is stop poor people from voting.
We are now less than 90 days out from the midterms. Recent polling shows Democrats are leading Republicans on a generic ballot by 5 to 11 point margin. But as primary
5 to 11 points.
season wraps up, some establishment Democrats are growing concerned about how far left-wing candidates are going to fare against Republicans, because the primary is one thing, as you know, Congressman, but the general is another. Do you believe Republicans are?
Okay, the only one I think that's up against a Republican in any serious way is Abdul Sayed, who's up against Mike Rogers for Senate statewide. The rest of them are all in congressional districts or lower offices that they're running for, and it's a blue area already. Boogeyman them all you want, but all they're doing is turning blue districts bluer.
Both chambers come November, because Joe Gruters did an interview yesterday, and he said, and I want to read you this quote because I think it's important. He said, we start at 212 likely seats. He's talking about the House. He says there's 18 toss-up seats. We need 6. I bet we win 10. Your reaction?
Well, I'm always going to agree with Joe Gruters, who was my roommate when I was a state legislator in Tallahassee. The fact of the matter is they are putting up candidates who are unelectable, who believe in things that when you tell the American people,
we'll see.
They say no one can actually believe in these things. They won't disabuse themselves of Hamas. They want to defund the police. They want an open border. They want socialism. Frankly, they want communism. And we just need to tell that story over and over and over.
Oh, I have no doubt you will. And the vast majority of the people, the irony that even as unpopular as communism and socialism are across the board, they are more popular than crony capitalism or, the corrupt administration and party we have in charge right now. So congratulations, asshole, you played yourself.
To tell people that what is on the ballot this November is whether America survives as a nation, because there are people that are running who seek to destroy what always made America great.
Well, one of the things is...
Yeah, okay, real quick. So seek to destroy. Clearly, he's referencing the DSA's stuff about the elimination of private property and the control of the means of production and the elimination of prisons and and getting rid of having the president picked by committee like Xi Jinping is, and getting rid of the Senate and those kind of things. That's their lofty long-term goals, right? That's what he's talking about. What he's not talking about is that in our representative government, to do any of those things, you would have to get such a large buy-in from the rest of the public that they just remain kind of bullshit utopian pie in the sky wants from that crowd. And if they're going to have an impact long-term on any of these candidates, it's either that they're going to have to admit that they can't achieve those things, or they're going to have to get a lesser version of those things. Instead of Medicare for all, a public option, let's say added as we shore up ACA, those kind of things, which the purists won't like and they'll attack them for. Same shit that MAGA's going through with Trump. That's just the reality. They're going to have to deal with that. And they're going to have to do a proof of concept on all the stuff. So that's what the whole point of technically democratic socialist ideology is that they're going to achieve socialism through democratic means, meaning they'll slowly but surely raise the social safety net stuff until everybody's comfortable with it. A rising tide that lifts all boats and boils all frogs, depending on who you're asking. And that will be the way that they achieve it. It won't be a revolution. It'll be, dear God, incremental. And so, we'll see if the revolutionary side of, their flank will put up with how this incremental change has to occur. But you're not going to be able to roll in there and just throw up a new program and count on it staying. There's too many. You've got to get a buy-in from the rest of the public. Police is socialist. No, it is not. All nations have some form of police. You just have a say in police. Police, firemen, none of that is socialism. There was a version of what I think Mamdani is trying to be in Wisconsin in the 1900s that real socialists derogatorily called sewer socialists because they were working on parks and sewage systems. They were infrastructure socialists, arguably, probably more in line with what Biden was trying to do. And they were attacked from their left flank. But again, all right, of course there is a police system, guards and what have you, and people who enforce the law in monarchies and theocracies and all these things. Those are police, and they're not socialist at all. They're paid for by forced taxation. The only difference is we have a say. Again, this is most people, I think they're slipshod with the whole social democrat, democratic socialist, and they go back and forth. Social democrat's very different than a democratic socialist. Democratic socialists, by and large, hate social democrats. as far as the path. They're totally separate groups. It sounds like they'd overlap. They don't. But again, they still have to implement these things. The biggest problem the DSA has is once they do get somebody in office and that person starts to push forward with things, if they're not ready to compromise to accomplish these things, they're going to go home empty-handed, and they're going to be blamed for promising a rose garden. The same thing Trump is going through with his bullshit. He promised the moon and the stars as well. And if you can't do it, if the rest of the country isn't bought in on your tariff scheme or whatever, you're in deep shit. It won't last. We need prisons. We need someplace to put this administration. Right, exactly. Well, that's the other thing too, is like, so you don't, if the argument is we need to get rid of prisons, then how do you punish the Epstein class? How do you, never mind the Epstein class, how about just poor rank and file working, level pedophiles? What do you do? What do you do with them? What do you do with murderers? Obviously, the answer is you kill them, because that's what most socialist regimes ultimately come to. It's either forced labor or murder. That's what you end up with. That's the ad infinitum, ad absurdum, lofty goal of that situation. You also, you need forced productivity at some point. We'll see. I mean, I'm glad to have this conversation with anybody, but I think that the irony is that in theory, they believe in a lot of things I believe in, which is, some sort of universal healthcare system that is maintained and is resilient and can provide the services necessary to every citizen, and like a strong and sound infrastructure, and a system by which it can be maintained and then expanded to the areas that need it over time. The problem is, if you're gonna eventually, you're gonna have 100% taxation, because that's what socialism ultimately is. It's 100% taxation. Even like, again, this is different from social democrats, which is like Norway, Sweden, that kind of stuff. Democratic socialism ultimately ends in 100% taxation. Not for profit prisons, full stop. Again, I'm fine with that as well. But is there evidence that state institutions treat people better than the for-profit prisons? I mean, it might be that they're stealing money, but if they have to show more for it and they can't just bury their dead in the yard, that's the question. Are you getting, a more humane and well-designed prison than you would if the state built it? That's a big question. I would like to think not, but that doesn't necessarily mean so. I mean, we got a builder in chief, and that dipshit can't find his ass with both hands, nor would he want to. So let's jump in here. The 5 brings up this point, and of course they've got Harold on in the position. So the 5, Trump is not afraid of a potential third impeachment attempt. I kind of agree, because I think he's done. I think he's over it, and he would relish them. He'd be like, he'd use the fact that he was impeached and finally driven from office as a political and social weapon for the rest of his days.
Republicans, but they're not angry at me.
I love it. Look, when the 2 women won the governorships of New Jersey and Virginia last November, and Mondani here in New York, I texted the president. I said,
the 2 women.
We prosper when you're in the Oval. We suffer when you're not on the ballot. I absolutely believe that, because that's his coalition. He's the one who expanded it. More Hispanics, more African Americans, more young people, more women, more union households, more Jewish households, more Catholic households, more independents, you name it.
Yeah, it's almost like it's a farce, and it may have been manufactured. Gee, they seem really secure when they talk about voter fraud. Like, they know where it happened and how much. I mean, in theory, that might be because you paid for it yourself.
But it's special for him. And I think so many of these candidates, Jesse, believe that the Trump touch and his endorsement is transferable. He's got the connective tissue. They don't show up at rallies like this.
Yeah, they're not showing up at rallies like this anymore either. They get smaller and smaller, dipshit.
Thousands at a time, tens of thousands at a time with the
No, those days are long gone.
1,000 or so rally he's had. This is very special to him, but he will do what he has to do. He's going to spend the money. He does endorse you. He sends out a nice True Social post about you. Maybe he'll even come to your district or your state. He does these town hall rallies, which help juice up turnout.
Oh, yeah, the town halls. Those are magic, where he gets on the phone and says the same shit he always says, but on the phone.
There's no question the left is energized and enthusiastic this time.
Why? Because a combination of good ideas and a bad opponent?
Because of any great magic agenda, but because...
Did House just say DSA won 100% taxation? Yes, I said that is the ad infinitum version of their goal. 100% taxation. That's what socialism is, ultimately. You work for the state, all means of production means all means of production. Means all means of production. Means your Etsy store, not just big corporate things. That would be where they start, but that's not where they end. Just for the record, yes.
Party out of power.
And again, all of the major people that I've seen interviewed about it say that's the goal.
But I love it.
I love. Hold on. I need to.
As the person who was there for the two impeachments, I love hearing him almost dare them to impeach him again.
Almost.
These are the jerks who...
Yeah, again, he's saying that because he wants out. He wants to go. He's done. He wants to hand off this bag of shit to J.D. Vance and have J.D. Vance deal with the aftermath. While he and his family with these contracts that they got just get rich on the sidelines and he, trucks off to live in Russia.
Promised America, did everything they could to put him in the big house, God forbid, and never again have him in the White House. And where is he? Where's his day job? Where is his home, everybody? He's back there. And I love the fact that his AG is about to be Todd Blanche, one of his personal attorneys.
One of his personal attorneys. You mean the guy that's protecting him from the Epstein files? I'm sure you love it. Tell him why you love that in particular.
Who knows how to withstand that kind of slop and that kind of muck. But he's also calling...
Why? Because he's a fixer? Because he doesn't care about the law?
...them out by saying, you're going to waste the country's time. There's so much for us to do. Jeffries, Hakeem, I'm even willing to do it with you. If you'll play ball, that probably hurt Hakeem Jeffries. His opponents will raise money off of it. But the president is almost tempting and taunting them. But he's also telling them, stop wasting America's time when there's so much more to do.
Is that why he...
What would they be doing other than opposing the war in Iran, the shitty tariffs, the rising prices, the bad economy? Sorry, what part are they supposed to just let ride? The healthcare plan? Trump RX? What part of it are Democrats supposed to go, okay, finally? Like, they've done it a few times. They've worked together with Republicans to pass bipartisan bills. And Trump, look at the housing bill. Trump wouldn't even sign it. He just sat there, right? He just let it become law without signing it out of spite.
Using the third term.
You don't know why?
Because people are saying.
You guys go crazy. Yeah, I said you guys.
Who's you guys?
Just
reporters.
Harold, the impeachment. Will Hakeem be able to hold off the dogs and not impeach?
I don't know. I hope so. I was not for the first impeachment. I was for the second impeachment of the president after January 6th. But I think Democrats they're not going to win races in the fall by saying we're going to impeach president.
They're not doing that, stupid. But when they get in, they'll be able to. Again, this is politics, Harold, you dipshit. They're not running, there's a couple maybe that are, but they're not running on impeach and remove this time around. The idea is that accountability, just simple accountability, which most of us read as that's what'll happen. If we do have accountability, it will involve that, but that's not what they're running on directly. And he knows this.
President Trump won in 2016, and I would build on the points that Kellyanne made in the first go-round about that you said that.
Sorry, are some of you not hearing audio? I apologize. Refresh your page. You probably didn't hear that.
DSA decided to take the Democratic Party. I would argue that President Trump, in a different way, decided to take the Republican Party and make it his, and he did successfully. I think I take a little issue with what the president said about how he says they're angry at the Republicans, but not me. Either he's not the head of the Republican Party, or he is the head, but he is completely detached from them. I think what people are mad at, Jesse, and again, I hope the president doesn't take this the wrong way, but he gave people 2 promises. I think he beat Kamala Harris for 2 primary reasons. First is she was not a great candidate, but his message was, I'm going to lower inflation and lower prices, and I'm going to get us out of this war. He said he would end the Ukraine war on day 1, and that we would not find ourselves in wars. I think the American people took him at his word.
Yeah, especially the maggots that are turning on him now.
Here we are now. Prices have not gone back down. The president has not lowered inflation and prices. We got a tough jobs number today. 3, he's building ballrooms and helipads and starting businesses, and I think people see that. And I think to his point, if I were him, I'd be trying to deflect also. But I think it's a hard argument.
Oh, there he is with his toupee.
To make to the American people that I know you're mad at the Republicans, but you're not mad at me. Because if prices were lower and we were not in these wars, I think the Republican numbers would be high, and frankly, so.
Yeah, but that's like saying if they were an entirely different party, they'd be doing better. They're for this, dum-dum. Trump is signing pages out of Project 2025 that are ripped right out of the Project for a New American Century. This is exactly the shit they've wanted for a long time. You know, this goes back to what we were saying, like Trump during COVID. If he'd only done this, or if he'd only done that, if he'd have just been a little more reasonable, if he'd have paid more attention, if he wasn't so hot on like making sure the stock market did well, and he was more concerned about the citizenry, he would have done better. That's true. But he would have had to have been a completely different person. He, as a human being, is incapable of that. He wouldn't be Trump if he gave a shit about those things. He wouldn't be Trump if he didn't say things like affordability is a hoax and the Epstein files are a Democrat hoax. He'd be a different person, and therefore he might be harder to run against. But that fictional person does not and will not exist.
His numbers are pretty low.
He did run on sealing the border, and he did that, Greg. And
Yeah, I give him credit on it.
One of the main reasons he was elected.
Yeah, but he also stopped the bill that made up most of the funding for the sealing of the border that they put back into the big BS bill. When Biden was in office, called Republicans, said, don't do it. Don't sign on to this bill. Let it so I could run on it. So anybody who got in during that time, if they committed a crime or killed somebody, it's clearly on him, because this would have been something that would have been handled, you know, if the Biden administration had had the ability to sign that into law. And then he was, of course, that whole story, like, we don't need a new bill. We don't need new funding. We just need a new president. Well, it turns out the new president needed a bill. He needed border funding in the big bullshit bill. He needed border funding added to the military budget. So he did not close the border. We went from Title 8 to Title 42 and back to Title 8. That's what started the lowering of the number of people that were coming through, because we were getting, 5x recidivism for everybody that tried to cross the border and was turned away. Once that was over, the number got real again. If you were rejected, you were rejected permanently. Fewer people started coming across, and the number started to taper. Once we got to this point, he still got fewer deportations than let's jump to that real quick. Let me prove that exactly. Hold on. And obviously not from, where are we? Yeah, so here's a Fox News thing on DHS. DHS has reported that 1.4 million departures have happened since January of 2025. Now, included in this is obviously a fake self-deportation number. Like, they've just thrown this in there. 1.4 million undocumented immigrants have left the country since January 2025. This is the number. This is this report. Let me show you something.
Regarding a recent raid in Atlanta where they arrested more than 1,200 illegal aliens. This comes after President Trump signed 2 executive orders to crack down on birthright citizenship and birth tourism.
They've taken birthright citizenship and they've made a joke out of it. And we're actually the only country of size, I think.
Of size.
Just about the only country, period, that does birthright citizenship. I thought we were going to win it.
Yeah, that's because we're a melting pot. We were designed to be that kind of a country. We're not a monarchy or a theocracy, and we also America doesn't show up in anybody's 23andMe. That's kind of the point.
Supreme Court, unfortunately, we had a bad decision, very unfair decision. Our country
boo fuckity who
suffers because of it, and we're ending it a different way.
Also, by the way, Trump runs a fucking baby mill out of the Trump Tower, Miami.
The DOJ
they call it the Russian waiting room.
is also launching a new grant program called Bridging Immigration-Related Deficits Experienced Nationwide, or Biden for short. They offer up to $3 billion.
Adorable.
To cities that team up with federal immigration enforcement. And that's just one piece of the administration's immigration crackdown. For more, we turn to Joey Jones, who is at the big board. Joey.
Yeah, guys, there's only one way to look at this, and that's through the numbers, and then have
Let's do it.
a debate on if those numbers are where they should be or need to be. So we're going to go on the big numbers first. So the amount of arrests, the amount of apprehensions, depending on and in custody, we need to break this down a little bit. So you've got CPB and ICE. We've got the 7-day average, which is hovering around 1,000 for CPB, over 1,000 for ICE. Then
By the way, that's Customs and Border Patrol. So that's northern border, southern border. Maybe some port shit. But again, this whole like 0 people have entered the country across the border it brings the lie with that 878 number.
total. This is since basically the end of January in 2025. So this is almost a 18-month thereabout total. You've got almost 500,000 with CPB. You've got well over 500,000 with ICE. And then, so that brings it all together to obviously more than a million, quite a bit. These are just arrests. Then you look at your in custody 7-day average. It's pretty similar numbers between ICE as far as your.
Yeah, it looks like bullshit.
7-day average in August of 26 and 25, but the number actually does tick up in everything in 2026. So if you're talking about pacing on the calendar year, we're doing as much this year, if not a little bit more, than we did last year. The big difference there being a new DHS director and everything that happened in Minneapolis that supposedly has changed this strategy and how they want to arrest folks.
Which would be what? How about they're going to try to do this without killing more Americans?
All right, Joey. So how many illegals have been deported since President Trump has taken office?
Yeah, that.
Yes. How many illegals have been deported since he took
How
office?
many have been deported? That's the number that Americans care about. That's the number.
Look at the biggest, like, again, the ICE number is bullshit. It actually counts this number already. There have not been 736,788 fucking removals via ICE. There have not. CBP, again, is more border oriented. The U.S. Coast Guard, look at 952. That's the reality around. I guess that would be Cubans and people from Mexico who try to come up into San Diego via the waterways. The known self-departures, huge pad right there, because the number, I think the Obama average was like 900,000 or whatever. And with all this bullshit and Americans getting killed and them doing these raids and all this kind of stuff, you're what? 12,000 higher than Obama was.
Americans who voted for,
if at all. Again, I call
Trump
bullshit. I call bullshit on all these numbers.
So right now the number is 1.484574. That's the number that we have right now today. There are other numbers out there.
Yeah, and they're all nonsense.
These don't all add up to that, and
why not? But I don't want to be a purist about graphics, kiddo. But shouldn't the numbers you have on screen, shouldn't they add up to that number? Because if you added them all up, it should, in theory.
I'll have a clear explanation why, but
I do. I know why. I know why, Joey. Because they're nonsense. They were never meant to be added up. They are performative digits based on bullshit.
Numbers are very current and are very well sourced through DHS. And so the reason why I want to put this up here is you need to look at this number here, known self-departures. That's your second biggest number on the screen. Now,
right, yeah.
Why is that? From what I understand and what I'm being told by agents, when someone is arrested by ICE or CPB, they have the option to go then self-deport, leave now. If you're from South America, chances are you're out of the country within a week. If you're from places like Iran, that might take a little longer because they may not take their people back. And so those known self-departures, a lot of those fold into the ICE operations and CPB operations.
Do you hear that? They fold into. Is that what they do? They fold into? You mean this number is actually in that number. And this number is fucking fiction.
Departures, a lot of those fold into the ICE operations and
they fold into them. That's lovely.
CPB operations. So when you look at this number, it is closer to a deportation number than anything else. And also,
is it?
I thought it was interesting to put the United States Coast Guard up there at 952. Their numbers fall under the State Department, and you have to roll them back in. So when you see numbers reported out there, sometimes it's
we're just rolling, we're folding, we make the white bread, we make the brown bread.
Where they're coming from and making sure all the agencies are accounted for.
So, Joey, all of that enforcement you're talking about sounds pretty expensive. What are taxpayers actually paying for all of this?
Yeah, so this is interesting. So a lot of people, especially on the Democrat side.
All right, if the numbers that you're saying don't make you feel good, we'll make up another number that will make you feel better about all this.
Say, hey, it costs money to deport them, costs more money to deport them than it does to keep them here. I don't know, not so fast. So the U.S. average is about $2,500, so that's per taxpayer, to do the deportation operations. So that's different than per person being deported. So it costs the average taxpayer right now, in our efforts at ICE, when you look at all the funding and everything, about $2,500.
According to the Economic Policy Institute, who are an institute that does economic policy, I have heard. I'm familiar with the idea that there's someone doing policy around economics that exists, and they call themselves an institute. So you could trust them.
But when you're talking about the price per illegal immigrant of what they're costing taxpayers a year, you're at almost $10,000. You're over.
Well, according to the Federation for American Immigration Reform,
$9,000. So what does that mean?
I don't know. Are you obviously not factoring in the lower costs due to both, construction work that they do, like household work that they do, including taking care of the elderly and that kind of stuff, farm workers, that kind of thing. So you're not going to factor that amount of money in, which would, again, I guess, pair off how much the cost benefit ratio. You're not gonna measure that out. And what is that? How are we all charged a 9K dividend? Is there a list of where that comes out of our pockets?
That means it's not a 1-for-1. It's not, it costs.
No, it's not obviously that number bigger than the other number.
$2,500 to deport this person and $9,000 to keep them here. But what it does mean is this is a compounding number. That's $9,000 a year per taxpayer for the illegal immigrationists here. We're not even touching the fraud. So once you find out what that real fraud number is and start to factor it out.
Yeah, exactly. And which is totally real and not in this number at all.
The number only goes up.
It would have to, because while you're bullshitting, I think it was Churchill who said, if you're going through bullshit, keep on bullshitting.
Is huge, and who knows what that is.
And that number attacks both sides.
Precisely. So with all those numbers, where are the estimated, what is it, around 330,000 Haitian migrants?
This is a more nuanced part of this.
This
This is what happened. We just had the opportunity, the Trump administration was just allowed to go after that temporary protected status for other countries as well, but mainly Haiti, or at least that's the one that's made the most headlines for obvious reasons. So a couple of things.
Check, check. Why is that? Sorry about that, guys. With that. Hey, check, check. It doesn't have the little red light on it. I don't know what's happening. God damn. I'm going to have to get under the goddamn table again, aren't I? Excuse me while no. I'll try and get through this. I will keep an eye on it. Apologies.
And you can see the states that they're primarily condensed in. And ICE is operating in these states, but I think the nature of ICE right now is to keep things below the public view. They don't want the things that happen in Minneapolis. They don't want opportunities for those things to happen again.
Right. You don't want opportunities for American citizens to be shot.
Whether that's right or wrong, a good strategy or not, that's their strategy. But you've got big numbers, 40,000 in New York, 14,000 in Ohio. A lot of them work in the healthcare industry there in Ohio. So some of the hospitals aren't happy about them leaving, but you know.
But you know what? Got to save that $9,000. You know what I mean?
What? Hey, they're here illegally. It's time for them to go, no matter how long they've been here.
Also, they're not here illegally. They had their TPS removed arbitrarily because they're black. So they became illegal because they were becoming members of the community. They were working hard. They were showing up for work. They were doing their thing. And then Trump and Stephen Miller came in and decided to make them illegal overnight.
So one of the things they're doing, they've got these GPS monitors. We can't get a number on how many of them have them, but it shows you what they're trying to do with them. You can't leave a 75-mile radius without permission. You can't skip your check-ins. You can't remove or tamper with it. What you can do is you can apply to self-deport. That's number one. That's what they're actually encouraging them to do right now as they litigate the process of deportation. If you self-deport, that saves us all money. It saves you time being held in detention once we make that decision. Obviously, they're going to give them some money. I don't know if that's going to stick around forever.
That got blocked. What the heck happened there? Yeah, it literally, something muted it. I'm being hacked. It's clearly something is wonky is going on. What is happening? What would be doing the thing? Okay, you can hear me now, though. Shit. Gremlins.
And you can organize their return lawfully, give them the best chance of success when they get there. Listen, guys, a lot of Americans want to see a lot of mass deportations, tens of thousands. I think that a lot of Americans voted for that.
Yeah, but those people don't exist, so tough shit.
What DHS is saying is that it's not that easy.
Really? They made it sound easy. Kind of like ending the Ukraine-Russia war. Trump made it sound easy. Ending Iran's nuclear program made it sound easy, didn't he?
No.
All right, we're going to bring it back over to the
Oh, okay. So along those lines, and I apologize for the dropout. I'm going to keep I'm watching the meter for my microphone like a hawk now. This is so that's the watered down Fox version of the what the her, right? Is it Phil or Johnny Million? I don't know. I think maybe Bucky came in here and learned from Chip how to step on something. It's very peculiar. I don't know. Oh, wait. All right. I think I have an idea. I think I got okay. Hold on. Take this guy, and I'm going to drag it over here. Because there's a touch screen below the button where I on my Elgato thing where I press play that might be reacting to the heat from my thumb because I'm too hot lady. That's what I think it was. I didn't see it off that way, but that would do it. That would do it. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. We'll keep an eye out. son of a, it's always, I got to finish. I've been all moving and stuff. It's a lot. All right, here we go. So let's take a look at how the downstream maggots are dealing with these deportation numbers. Why would Fox News, and Jesse Waters pushes this all the time, but why would Fox News, especially, one of their little gaggles, I think that was Fox and Friends in the Morning, why would they cover this? Why bother? If he's already closed the border and it's done, why is it so much work? Why do they have to cover it? Because it's not to convince us. He's not going to talk people who didn't vote for Trump into this shit. Why are they pushing back on this? Why are they trying to shore up Trump's position? And why does he bring up people want to see these mass deportations? Obviously, he is not talking about the part of the electorate that voted for, Kamala Harris. Clearly. Yes? So why bother? Why the fuck are they doing? I'll show you why. Ladies and gentlemen, this would be one of your downstream maggots. This is a guy, Jesse Kelly. We've seen him a couple of times. And this is the title of his video. But besides the thumbnail, which is fucking magic, the title of this is "Former ICE Head Warns Mass Deportations Are Not Happening." The border may be more secure than it was a year ago, but that's only part of the battle. Interior enforcement, removals, and carrying out large-scale deportations remain major challenges despite campaign promises and public expectations. But sorry, who was making those campaign promises? Who caused the public that you're talking about to expect these things? Who was that? I forget. I know he's president right now, but sometimes I intentionally blank on his name. Let's see why. Where are the deportations? By the way, they've got really nice AI slop going on here. The ICE, police ICE, which is not a thing. Something protecting America over here. Trump looking off into the distance like it's some fucking Maoist, Stalinist, Soviet painting, for the fatherland. And then somebody with brownish skin handcuffed. Nicely done.
Immigrants who are set to lose their legal status here.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Low T GOP loves amnesty. Yeah, you limp dick, saggy, bald old farts. You don't have the taint to drive these foreigners out.
What is your initial reaction to that?
Well, it's a mistake. It's not good for the United States, and it's not good for the state of Ohio. These are people
who, by the way, this is why he brought that up. DeWine complaining about the fact that if you take these Haitians away, we lose staff at hospitals.
Helped Springfield really come back. Springfield has been making a real comeback.
Excuse me, Springfield is making, you don't mean...
In the dogs, oh, they in the back, what? They in the geese, what? They in the cats, meow, meow. Fistful of kitty litter, never been a quitter. Dog on a spit, tastes like chicken, it's finger licking, geese a piece of thigh. Uh-oh, hot grease got in my eye. I tried, but don't know why. I can't stop eating the pet. They in the dogs, oh, they in the back, what? They in the geese, what? They in the cats, meow.
So you'll recall Ohio, the site of the pet eating horror stories, but apparently it gives them the energy they need to help empty bedpans or something.
The Haitians.
Exactly who we were talking about. Why, oh why, specifically, why it did Joey Jones, who, bless his heart, lost his legs in battle. I don't know if the guy they had standing at the thing is capable of doing it, but he has no legs. This guy, let me show you. This guy right here, is that, no, that's not him. This dude, where is it? Here you go. I lost track of where my videos guys were. Yeah, here it is. That guy, Joey, this guy, he has no legs from here down. He's, both of his legs were taken in war. I just want you to know that. And so it's extra dickish that the Fox and Fiends make him do all the walking around, but that's true. So I respect his service, and we've had some exchanges over the years, but and he's definitely on board with Trump and all that kind of stuff. But there is a line I won't cross, and that will be denigrating this man's service and sacrifice for the country. I wish Republicans would do the same for, say, Tammy Duckworth and others, but I don't do it, so they'll do it. I do it because it's the right way to be. But I will also argue with him as a complete person because I believe he is. And so if I call him an asshole, that's a point of respect, just to clarify across the board. Heartfelt when I criticize and call him an asshole, it's because I appreciate him enough. I wouldn't argue with somebody if I didn't think they were worth it. I can't dehumanize someone and argue with them at the same time. It doesn't work. So yeah. So anyways, low T GOP loves amnesty, and this is the governor of Ohio talking to someone from American History X.
Who are living there and employed there. They came there to work, and they came there because there were jobs that were not being filled by other people.
Why do you feel so strongly about this?
Yeah, why? I mean, why do you care whether people in Ohio get proper medical care that is provided by foreigners when we don't have the people in the country to do it? Why would that matter?
I think history tells us that this country was built with immigrants. My family came here in the 1840s, escaping the famine in Ireland. I think that the president has the opportunity to turn this and to say, look, it's now time. We've got our border sealed. It's now time to have a discussion with the Congress and the American people. Who do we need in this country? Who is in our economic interest to have in this country? I'll give you one statistic. In Ohio, I think 22 or 23% of our physicians are foreign born.
23 to 24% foreigners doing doctoring on people. What the hell?
Who is in our what interests? What did he say?
National, I guess. Yeah.
Economic interests.
Oh, economic interests.
To these people, far too many people. We're just an economic zone. That's all, not a country, not a culture, just an economic zone. Joining me now, someone who's forgotten more about this stuff than I'll ever know, Mark Morgan, former head of ICE and CBP. He's now part of the Mass Deportation Coalition.
Oh, is he helping with that, or is he planning on leaving the country with a bunch of people?
Mark, I don't know what part makes me cringe worse when I hear that we were built by immigrants, just completely selling citizens down the road, or it's in our economic interest. Well, look at the tax brackets. These people are the biggest treasonous scumbags in the world.
Well, so Republican governors, I would like to say, and Donald Trump, who gave all the farmers a break and allow them to keep as many immigrants as they want in the country on the bro system. Don't run any background checks. Don't check their citizenship. Just look the other way. And if something happens, maybe it's your ass, maybe it isn't. But keep the food prices down, and I won't bother you about it. Same thing with my buddies that run golf courses and hospitality, like hotels and casinos.
Yeah, the only thing that he didn't highlight well is that it's also a political advantage as well. And let's be honest, for both the left and the right.
Ooh, I'm sorry. So low wage immigrant labor is good for Republicans. Do tell.
See, we've got to be fully transparent here.
Yeah, please do. So tell us how Donald Trump bought votes in the last two elections.
We could talk for hours about the issue politically on the right that's failing this country right now. But Jesse, you hit it spot on. What we don't talk about, what's not in the dialogue of individuals like this, is that what about our nation's sovereignty? Oh, that little thing. What about the rule of law? A founding principle that this country's.
Yeah, we have Donald Trump as president. That ship has sailed right now, buddy. We got a lot of repair work to do on the hull of the ship to keep it from sinking. So we'll deal with that later or whatever. But you are joking, right? Sorry, both of these two Trumpists. You're worried about the rule of law and the sovereignty of our country. Have you seen the shit he's done with the gold visa, where you could just buy your way into citizenship?
That any civilized
get the
nation has to enforce. It's just thrown out the window. We do a political or an economic carve out what's in the best interest for them politically. It is disgusting that we just are not honest with American people about what the issues really are.
How do we get this out of the GOP, Mark? I know what AOC's stance on this stuff is going to be. I know what Chuck Schumer's stance is, and I understand perfectly well. I get that. But
no, you don't.
Every time you turn around,
again, they're going to go back to open borders. Open borders meaning that if we have workers in Mexico or south of the border that want to come in for, to work in fields and that kind of stuff, or construction waves, they can do it, and then they can go back home at night. They could, or they could stay for 3 months and then they could go back home. And we have a system in place through E-Verify, and the border is a lot more porous for those workers. And we have a system in place that makes that happen. That's different than just allowing everybody in, because you'll notice that the open borders crowd, when they talk about it, aren't assuming that Mexico's border is wide open at the same time, and that Americans with means could just steamroll into fucking Mexico and start buying property, correct? You do realize that. So the idea that the border doesn't exist or doesn't have meaning, beyond the fucking John Lennonists that might be out there that see that as an ultimate goal for humanity, which again is more social and ideological than practical and mechanical in the modern world. But the elimination of the American border would not eliminate the Mexican border, I presume, unless maybe some of them are saying that. I would like to see evidence of that. I don't think so, though. So I think it's more about, again, what Hillary Clinton was talking about. We need an open border for the workers that need to come in, so that the visa system and the workers' permits and all that kind of stuff, they can come and go as a trusted member of our society. And if they come in for a season of, for 3 to 5 months or some shit like that, and they want to go back home again, they don't have to worry about, like, if I leave, will I be able to get back in? So they have to hunker down or hide, and they don't want to be away from their families for years, so they start bringing people with them. You create the very system that you vilify.
Republican, usually from the red state, talking like this. I feel like we're making progress getting these people out, are we?
Mm-hmm. No. Trump literally is further down the road than DeWine is.
So that's a tough one, Jesse. First of all, this would have been.
It is. It's a tough one.
For a long time is that we know, as you said, we know where the Democrats are. We know that they are really driving the crux of the crisis.
Nope, not at all. The Russians, working with the Trump administration and the Trump campaign back in the day, were absolutely trying to weaponize migration and create the caravans and the illusion of the caravans and all that kind of shit. And then COVID certainly played a factor in it. But going from Title 8 to Title 42 created a recidivism crisis, which allowed it to look like, one person came through 5 times and was rejected all 5 times. The Republicans read that number as 5 people crossed into the country. That's where they get their bullshit 35 million number that's still here or whatever, but they can't seem to fucking find them because you can't find a ghost. That's the reality. That's just.
On the Republican side, though, is we have a lack of political will and a lack of courage to fix it.
No, it is not a lack of political will or courage in this. You could argue that DeWine just simply saying we're a nation of immigrants is necessary to remain governor of fucking Ohio, even as a Republican, because it's true.
So I think it is time that we start looking inward and start being honest about our own conservative party and what they are doing to promote. Look, right now they're promoting several forms of amnesty right now.
Sorry, this is a form of, you mean Trump's bro system? Please bring it up.
But what they are definitely doing is they're getting to the president. They're giving the president some bad advice on the mass deport.
Oh, that's right. Oh man, you know what? He wants to do the right thing, but it's like Netanyahu, man, they keep whispering in his ear. What's he going to do? Not listen to them? Be a leader? Check their figures? Make his own goddamn decisions? You've seen him. That's impossible. Poor Donald.
An aspect of this. At the end of the day, the only way that we're going to regain our sovereignty, the only way we're going to regain the true rule of law, the only way we're going to stop future
the mass deportation mission. It's nice to know that even though he's using a lot of AI slop for his thumbnails and stuff, he hasn't lost his Canva subscription.
Immigration.
That's so funny. Okay. I've started to figure out what the audio wave thing is. My ears keep reconnecting. They keep jumping from device back to the device, and that's where the crunchiness happens.
The only answer to that is mass deportations.
Open the border. Why not? Because for all the things they talk about, like your social safety net would be completely overwhelmed. You just couldn't run it. You couldn't maintain it. And it would undermine its very existence if you had to do it. That's just the reality. Also, you don't know where people are coming from. You don't know if they want to contribute to the democracy or not. It's completely reasonable. Every country in the world has a way to manage immigration in their country. That's not the issue. The issue is look the other way until you need a cruel solution. That's where we are right now. And one of the reasons why you have a bunch of people who were sort of tacitly for this, the treatment of these folks who may have bought into that 35 million number because they're indeed kind of dumb. But one of the reasons why during the Biden administration, they attacked him over his numbers sometimes. During the Trump administration, it was the cruelty of it. But the vast majority of the voters, they voted for Obama again, and they voted for Trump again, to at least especially on this particular issue. And that's because there's a realism to it. The problem is if you don't deal with it in the gray area, the realism of the circumstance, which is you're going to have people who we need here to work. You're going to have people who want to be citizens but can't afford in their life to put it on hold for 10 years because they're in a dangerous country or what have you. So they're going to try and sneak into the country and then prove their worth after the fact. So we have systems in place where people can serve in the military and do those kind of things that prove that they are going to be loyal to the country and they're not just here as an operative for somebody else trying to undermine things. If you just leave it wide open, then your enemies will weaponize it as they have in the past, and they will use poor people that they can herd across the border to damage your country and create a backlash and push towards authoritarianism. It's exactly what happened in Europe. It's clearly what happened during Trump 1, and that was the goal. That's what the Russians have been doing. So you have to have a system in place, even if you trust those people, because there will be people that mess with your system. Like, this is the reason why, originally, free speech, right? We have free speech. Well, what can't you say? You can't yell fire in a crowded theater. You can't have CSAM. We had to add rules to that. Why? Is it because we stopped believing in free speech? No. What's wrong with a proper visa and worker program? I agree, Olga. That's exactly what we should have. That's the reasonable conversation. And that's where Hillary Clinton was talking about when we had a border where people could live over there, come over here and work, go back home because they're home and their family and everybody was in Mexico or over the border and they could come in. That was a reasonable thing. Or they were seasonal workers and then they would go back home. We had a system in place for that. Well, those folks started getting vilified. Now, I have my own theories, as you guys know, about clearly the Eisenhower program that deported 1 million Mexicans, specifically Mexican immigrants. That was, and I think, what was it? The guy on MSNBC, I think, did a segment on it recently. But ultimately, the reason why we did it was because of tractors. Tractors made the men that were over here less necessary. We didn't need guys to till the fields. We needed women to pick the crops and that kind of stuff, but we didn't necessarily need all the men. If you had a tractor that could do 5 rows at a time, you just did not need the men there anymore because it used to be a guy with a fucking farm animal pulling it, a mule or a horse, pulling that. And once that wasn't necessary anymore, you had a bunch of guys sitting around doing nothing. And that's where the Slowpoke Gonzalez, lazy Mexican with his hat down in front of his head, that's where that trope came from. It's because a lot of those guys were suddenly out of work. There was nothing for them to do. And so the Eisenhower administration was like, oh shit, idle hands of the devil. Yeah, was it Jacob Soboroff who did that? Yeah, he's a good guy. But he does a whole big thing on it. He never touches on why. And it's really weird. You need to touch on why. But there was also, because there's a lot of parallels to what's going on right now. A lot of the ejection has to do with teeing up automation, and the companies, the corporations especially, that want to move us towards automation much quicker, is that if left to their own devices, big agribusiness, factories, that kind of stuff that rely on this cheap labor might not invest in a robot or automation or those kind of things right away. They might pilot it, but they're not going to jump all in, and it will be a slow 5, 8, 10 years to get them on board with this process. So what you can do, though, is you can force their hand. You can deport the people they've been using to do this work, and then what other choice do they have? Right? And that's, I think, more of what's happening right now. If there was such a thing back then as big tractor, and they're like, hey, if we can get rid of all these Mexicans, we can convince everybody to buy a tractor. They didn't have to do that because the production from World War II led to this, massive growth in farm equipment being built because they had all these factories that were going to be idle otherwise. So you had the cars, a chicken in every pot, right? The idea that you'd have a gas stove everywhere. Okay, the mass production that came after we went from wartime to peacetime production after World War II led inexorably to the lack of need for these workers. And so they were brooming them. But they didn't. This time it's the other way around. To push us towards that technology that will replace them, they're getting them out first. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay, Mark, you say mass deportations aren't happening. That leads me to why.
Because there aren't people here to deport, you shithead. There are not 35 million new migrants in the country. Dummy. Didn't happen. Again, recidivism under Title 42. Look it up. This got so aggravating. I feel like this is one of those lies that just chases me around.
Why aren't they happening? Is this a judge's problem? Is it the administration's problem? Is this a Senate problem? Is
it because the people aren't actually here and you can't round up people who don't exist?
Mark Wayne Mullen problem? What's the problem?
I think it's D, all of the above. But I think we've got two major issues going on right now. And one is from the administration itself. I believe the president is getting bad advice from people high-ranking.
I don't give a fuck. Stop it. No. I'm sick of that one too. I don't want to hear that, whether it's fucking Iran or this, or the economy or the tariffs. I don't want to hear that he's getting bad advice. This is the asshole who ran on, I know more than everybody about everything. I'm going to fix it so quickly it'll make your head spin. So stop it. If he's getting bad advice, the guy who makes deals and all this stuff and knows more about ISIS than the generals and knows more about the measles than the doctors, that guy should know bad advice from good advice. It's not a fucking excuse. And if he hired people who are giving him bad advice, that's still his fucking problem. It's an executive problem. It's an administration problem. If you don't think he's qualified to be that kind of a leader, stop making excuses for him. We have all gotten bad advice. But it is up to us to take that advice or leave it. This is fucking so aggravating. This very same people that have this ubermensch horseshit with Donald Trump, where he's the perfect man and he knows more about everything and he's the genius and the art of the deal and did you see him on The Apprentice and yada, yada, yada. Same fuckers who say that are all making excuses for him because when he gets advice, he's somehow got to take it. If Netanyahu whispers in his ear, he's got to go to war in Iran. He has to. What choice does he have? To think about it for a minute and go, that sounds like bullshit. Every one of these motherfuckers, same people that were telling us how Trump is different. He's a genius. He knows everything. And his big talent is making deals. And then he doesn't, and he fucks everything up. And just like he did his casinos, just like he did his dad's fucking company, Trump Steaks, Trump University, Trump Vodka, Trump Water, Trump Football, Trump Airlines. He fucks this shit up just like they did. And the rest of us who are like, past being prologue sometimes, you might want to pay attention to his fuck ups, because I'm sure he was getting advice during those times as well, good and bad. And apparently he's doing the same shit now that he was doing back then, which is taking all the bad advice because he likes the sound of it and ignoring anybody who went, I wouldn't, personally, that wouldn't be I would not advise that, sir. Like, his response to those people, shut up, pussy. That's how he responds. If it sounds macho, bullish, and loud, he goes for it. That's it. So if you have two advisors, and one of them is pointing out the specific road in reality where some of his goals might be accomplished and others might have to go by the wayside or have a pause put on them, and the other one is saying, fuck, I don't know, why don't we just steamroll everybody and just do it? It's going to be awesome. He's going to take that person's advice. You know why? Is it because that person is the greatest salesman to the greatest salesman ever? That it's like a bank shot that happens through him, and that it's just, he recognizes that it's exciting and it's growth oriented or whatever fucking Republican buzzword hops into their fucking brain. Is it because of that? Or is it because he's a dopey bastard who just gets high on his own fucking supply? Because this isn't news to any of us. Seriously. All of us were looking at him coming into office going, okay, this is going to look exactly like all the other things he fucked up. His 6 bankruptcies, his failed marriages, his philandering. If Mark Burnett hadn't rolled in, this dude would have been canceled years ago for his talking about his daughter's tits. You fucking cretins. You can't be the genius ubermensch who knows how everything works and a dopey follower who just bites at every piece of bait that's floated in front of his gaping yaw. Other than that, I have no opinion. Chat room, I'm going to end it on that because I think, A, I went over, and B, this is kind of a crucial part of this going forward. And I think it might be the biggest thing that impacts the Republicans in the midterms. And as far as talking about these idiots, the number of Republicans who are constantly giving him this excuse that he got bad advice or somebody talked him into it. He would have loved to do the right thing, but he did the wrong thing because somebody he liked said it in such a way. Well, it's either his fucking fault or it isn't. It's either his fucking win or it isn't. It's either his fucking failure or it isn't. If you can't make him the king of the world. Did I say ma? Yeah, did I say yaw? Maw. Thank you very much, Tom. Gaping maw. Well said. Thank you for that catch. I think I was going for gaping yap, and I pulled out at the last second, which you should never do. It's also the problem when I talk and read at the same time. It's always an interesting thing. Your influence on me is more than you know. But yeah, shut your maw. So the big story has to be, you can't have it both ways. You can't have this genius outsider who does what other people won't do, and he's brilliant and he figures everything out, and he knows how to make deals, and he's amazing. He can't be that, and all Netanyahu had to do was go, you should probably attack Iran. We're going to do it, so you probably should, right? And that was enough for him to attack Iran twice. At a certain point, this is my same problem with media folks, bless their hearts, who talk about Donald Trump as some sort of master salesman, who's great at selling things and great at, media manipulation, all that stuff. Maybe he is. Maybe he's the best ever at this. Maybe he should have, written the, Purple Cow book, or, maybe he should have gone into like how to build your own YouTube brand the Trump way instead of running for president. Maybe he's the salesman's salesman. Or maybe you're a sucker. And it's time to come to terms with that. Maybe you, out of habit, were giving him too much credit because you're supposed to be nice to the president of the United States. You're supposed to be respectful. You're supposed to treat a candidate who's got enough followers like they're a real person, and you're not supposed to push back that hard. So we'll act as if what he's saying has some sense to it because we don't want to offend the people that support him. If you believe that, that's one thing. Well, let me tell you, he is not, the answer to that is that he is not a master manipulator. You are easily manipulated, either by choice or by idiocy. Because there were a bunch of us that didn't fall for it ever. We always thought he was gross. We always thought he was stupid. We always knew he was a fraud. We always knew that he had evil intent towards anybody that he viewed as different, and was enough of a manipulator to take on any particular group's wants as his own, even if he never meant to satisfy their needs. We knew it. And we were telling you guys about it. And for some reason, you just ignored it. Ugh, uber menstrual. I think I'm going with gaping yap now that I've thought about it. From this point on, yeah. Yeah. Because, because fish maw being what it is, it gives him too much credit. Yeah. It's the exact same parallel. Maybe Netanyahu is the Trump whisperer. Or maybe Trump's just a dough-headed old fart who has no idea what he actually believes in and is really just in it for himself. It's all transactional and what he thinks will make him look good in the moment. And maybe Trump's the greatest salesman ever. Or maybe you've just been looking your whole life for somebody to sell you bullshit in a blue ribbon. Or a red hat in this case. And that says more about you than it does about him. And when you do wake up to this, when you do realize after all this time that you've been had, not only do you need to have a mea culpa and tell the public that, oh shit, I was wrong about him, you need to apologize to everybody like yours truly and a lot of the people in my chat room who've been pointing this out for fucking ever. Hey, sorry guys, sorry I called you, I said you had TDS or some shit like that. Sorry, we called you Democrats or whatever. I didn't realize, how suckered I had been. We've got a, by the way, twin dam, I guess damnation is that what it is. Jesus is coming very soon. This is a loving warning. Heaven and hell is real. Okay. This is just for that. It'll come. Hold on one second. To twin damnation, I guess. Matthew 25:46. Depending, I think that's what it is in the King James Bible. I want to make sure I'm not misreading it. Hold on one second. Yeah, 24:36. No man shall know the hour nor the day, and anybody who pretends they know when the time is coming is a deceiver. And there's another word for the deceiver in the Bible. So maybe shut your fucking trap about the end of the world. Let's see, do I have my key? I don't have my keep an eye out for the end times. Maybe shut your fucking trap about the end of the world and spend your days being a decent human being as Christ would have wanted you to be, and stop selling the end to everybody else. Matthew 24:36. Hype. How dare you assume that you know the day or the hour when God will come back, and use that as a cudgel against the behavior of your fellow man, because you commit two sins. You are judging other people for their piety and their closeness to God, and you are violating the tenets of Jesus himself to pretend to know when the end's coming. So please stop that. Please, just, if you want to tell people that Jesus loves them, knock yourself out. But saying it's because the end is nigh is against what Jesus taught. Other than that, I have no opinion. So even the apostles thought he was coming back soon. Well, he told them in a generation. They just didn't know the hour or the day. But the point is that nobody knows, and you're not supposed to. And anybody who pretends to is selling something. And what they're selling is not their own faith. They're not living the example of their own faith. So, gotcha. I don't know. All right. I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you guys for putting up with my audio issues. I'm gonna work on it, but this goes out to anybody who says they know Jesus is coming back sometime soon and that you have to repent because the end is nigh. How dare they?
The screen glows bright with a crooked smile. Words spill out, all venom, no style. Promises made, they rot in the air. A handshake, a lie, a blank, cold stare. Puppets dance, the strings are tight. Shadows whisper in the dead of night.
Hit that like, folks.
This is some bullshit. We see through it. This is some bullshit. Can't undo it. Say it loud. We won't quit. This is some bullshit. Paper thin truths that crumble like ash. Golden thrones built on stolen cash. We raise our fists, we break the mold. Your house of cards is getting old. Static hums, the wires ignite. Truth's a bomb, we're ready to fight.